So ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start the event with a lovely introduction about Thai Dubai by none other than the Executive Director of Thai Dubai, Cicely George. So call her on stage with a round of applause, please.
So I usually do this job and I never get the claps. Thank you. Welcome. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome each of you. Many familiar faces, lots of new faces as well. I'll just say a few words about Thai Dubai. We have a super interesting lineup for today. So some loves, all grassroots community grown from UAE, multiple nationalities. So Thai is a conversation that started, I think, more than 34 years back in Silicon Valley. Is there a lot of echo? No, it's okay? Okay. It's a conversation that started by successful entrepreneurs on understanding how founders need a lot more support. So it started with giving mentorship, a few things, but today Thai is in 70 cities, 70 chapters in over 15 countries. So that's how global the organization is. It's one of the largest network of entrepreneurs. Thai Dubai is the only chapter in the Middle East, so we cover the entire MENA region. And I think you should follow our LinkedIn. A lot of people ask me, how do I become part of the community? How do I come for the events? So the easiest way is to really follow our social channels. Thai Dubai is the name. We announce events, various events. We have an exciting summit, which we haven't announced yet coming, so keep your ears and eyes tuned. So Thai functions at the center as a community for founders. Fostering entrepreneurship is the top line, bottom line, everything that we do. We function mainly on 5 pillars: mentorship, networking, incubation, education, and funding. So you will find a variety of things that the entrepreneur needs and you will be supported on your journey. We run mentorship programs where we help them map with mentors if you're on a journey of scale. It's an excellent program which runs for over a 12-month period. We run a Thai Women program for women founders. We work with the youth as well. So these are a few things that you can get interested in and then follow us. So I don't want to take too much time. We have an exciting lineup, which I will let Wish share more details. And if anybody would like to contribute, support, volunteer for our events and things, do connect with us after the event.
Let's give it up for Cicely George. Guys, you look damn serious, man. Like, whose startup is failing here? Okay, so we want to have a fun time. We've planned a fantastic lineup here today, and these people have actually come as support for Thai Dubai because they have been very supportive for us artists here. So first up, we have a very special surprise. There's a lady named Alexa Bash. She's a Ukrainian-born singer-songwriter based out of Dubai. She's got powerful vocals and a little bit of too much talent, to be honest. So she's going to come here and she's going to sing some fantastic songs. She is on Spotify. She's got debut albums called Dark Angels. And she is learned piano at a very young age. As I said, show off. So ladies and gentlemen, with a round of applause, let's call on stage Alexa Bash.
Hello, hello, hello everyone. Thank you so much for inviting and such a pleasure to perform for you tonight. So, of course, today I would like to sing for you some of my original songs. And it's all dedicated to women. Sorry, guys. Yes, and this first song is called Silence. I was lost with a melody, never knew who I was. I dropped down and I going hope. It was never enough, but I still got the power in my heart. I'm ready. I hold my head steady. 'Cause it's hell not loving myself. I won't live in the silence that you built for me, that you built for me. I can't let go 'cause the price is too lonely, too lonely. When all the bridges are broken, I'll follow you down. I won't live in the silence that you built for me, you built for me. I'm alive, I know I survived, found the life that I love. I rose up, had enough of the lows. It was time to give up, but I'm still moving and I'm still growing. I'm ready. I hold my head steady, 'cause it's hell not loving myself. I won't live in the silence that you built for me, that you built for me. I can't let go 'cause the price is too lonely, too lonely, yeah. When all the bridges are broken, I follow you down. I won't live in the silence that you built for me, you built for me. Thank you so much. Yeah, so this song I actually wrote years ago when I was going through something very personal, transformational, and like that was the moment when I felt very vulnerable, and yeah, and that was the silence. But the next song is actually when you go through all of this, you realize your own power, and you become strong again. You're coming back to yourself, and you feel like you want to dance, you want to shine bright. And I want to dedicate this song to all of our beautiful women here tonight who go through that. We know, girls, how it feels. I really believe so. And the next song is called Hurricane. Hypnotized in the edge, and I'm falling back. It's do or die, that wavy ride. When you kiss my neck, let the wind blow us off to a place we love, to a place we love. Oh, something's got a hold on me. The way you move, it sets me free. Yeah. I know it's gonna be alright. Alright, let's leave this world behind. You and I could hold that night. But if you're gonna play these games, then I could be a hurricane. Diamond rings got me sharing feelings. I'm telling you, just be aware. Oh, move in deep. Let me share this blessing. The way I have you just ain't fair. Oh yeah, cold nights, love flies, skin tight, so bright, I shine, brand new. It's the way you got me feeling for you. Oh, something's gonna hold on me, yeah. The way you move, it sets me free. I know it's gonna be alright, alright. Come on, yeah. Woo. Let's leave this world behind. You and I can't hold that night. But if you're gonna play these games, then I could be a hurricane. I can be a hurricane. could be a hurricane. If we go and play these games, then I could be a hurricane. God lies, love lies, can't hide. So bright, we shine, brand new. It's all got me feeling for you. Something's gonna hold on me. The way you move it sets me free. I know it's gonna be alright, alright. Let's leave this world behind. You and I could all that night. If you go and play these games, then I could be a hurricane. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for our own homegrown talent. Wow. Okay, she's gone. You can stop. Okay. So my name is Vishwajit, and I'm one of the co-founders of a community in Dubai called the Expression Lab. Okay, it's a place which started out for comedy writers. It started with 3 comedians, and now we are at 85 comedians. Depression is in the air. And now we have gone into music, poetry, storytelling, and spoken word. And the main reason behind this community is that we want people to fail safely. So it's a place where you get to try, practice. So guys, in case you hate your manager or your investor, don't hold that hate in your heart. Write a poem, sing a song, make a joke, and you can come at Expression Lab and try it out. And tonight we have a very diverse lineup of comedians for you. No, I'm not performing because as an Indian, we support the minorities of Dubai. Okay? And it's a fantastic, and stand-ups and startups are very similar. Okay? A startup has an idea, a stand-up has a joke, a startup pitches the idea, a stand-up tries the joke, and at the end of the night, both of us cry because it doesn't work. And then we try again. So are you ready to give your energy for them tonight? Okay? So the first comedian we have, her name is Liana, not this white girl, the next white girl, okay. Her name is Liana and she's white. You're welcome. She's all the way from Australia. She's an entrepreneur herself. And she's been in Dubai for most of her life. So she has survived sand, snakes, and salik. And as an Australian, she promised me that she won't abuse on stage. I have fact-checked this. So ladies and gentlemen, let's call on stage Liana.
Thank you. Thanks. This is actually me, but I ran it through ChatGPT and I said, make me look pretty. So if you don't recognize anyone from, that's why. Yeah, so, well, look at all your motivated faces. Oh, it's incredible. Is there any billionaires here? No? Yeah? Are you a billionaire? That's a yes or no? No? Oh, just me then. Any future billionaires? Yeah? Excellent. Yeah, my younger brother is like one of you lot. He's an entrepreneur. He's got several businesses. He's part of this 5 a.m. club. He gets up at the crack of dawn and practices gratitude and does some meditation. I'm like the 11:30 club. I get up and I go, so my boyfriend knows it's time for coffee. And then I go about my first problem of the day, and that's, do I eat breakfast or lunch? Gone. I've got an older brother too. I'm the worst in the family because both of my brothers are amazing. My older brother is an incredible guy. He donated a kidney. Not to anybody that he knows or anyone in our family or anything. It's called an altruistic donation to a complete stranger so that they can have a better life. And it's, yeah. And I keep thinking, like, is there anything you can think of that's more generous than that? And there is. You could donate a kidney and then just shut the hell up about it. Don't need to be reminded all the time. It's not like you can go into a room with him and then say, oh yeah, I gave a meal for a homeless guy today. Just in case there's any Emiratis in attendance, a homeless guy is someone that doesn't actually have their own house to go to, but they set up a little majlis in the street and they smoke some special shisha. I'm not a tech person myself. I'm not very good at tech. I peaked at about pivot tables and then went down from there. But I'm so old that I was around like before the internet, like literally. Like when I was a teenager, our version of scrolling was going home and away, neighbours, home and away, neighbours. And then as a teenager, I went from my Australian country town. I was an exchange student and I went from my little town to Tokyo for a year. And I was thrust into a school with 2,000 Japanese girls, all in identical uniforms and with 2 permitted haircuts. I was like a white Godzilla. Like I was also quite chubby. I was like a white Godzilla, like walking down the halls. Hi! Hi! It's a very tricky time. Very hard to make friends in that kind of environment. Because I come from like such a small town in Australia, no internet. I go out, I try and meet someone, like learn their name, learn something about them. Great, I'm getting somewhere, go to class, come back out into the yard, could not find her again. Have to start again, meet someone else, learn her name, something about them, not go on. By the end of about the second week, but hang on, I've met you before. Of course, by the end of the year, my entire perception had changed. And I was looking at life with the perspective of a Japanese person. And I came home. My family came to pick me up from the airport, my brothers and everything. And they're like, Ayana! And I was like, and I was giving them a bit of a dubious look. And they said, what's the matter? And you guys are massive. What's wrong with your faces? What are you talking about? Nothing. Looked like complete freaks to me. Bulbous faces and everything. Oh yeah, but today's about meta ads. I had to get somebody to explain to me what meta ads are. My boyfriend decided to buy me some lacy underwear online. He never buys anything online. I was like, oh, that was very kind of you. Despite uncomfortable things in the world. And then I realised later why he did it. It was a ploy. Because every time I saw his laptop and there was like some scantily dressed women, he's like, algorithms. Just because I shopped for you, like they're popping up again, it's not my fault. All right, you got me there. They don't always get them right though. Once I was, this is a bit confessional, but once I was shopping for some adult entertainment devices, shall we say, female adult entertainment devices. And they're not allowed to be imported into the UAE. Oh, bugger. And one of my friends said, the ones that are allowed to be imported are called bladder training devices. So that you hold them inside, they vibrate, and they're training to hold your bladder. I was like, really? So I did some searches for bladder training devices. You know what ads I've been getting ever since? Adult nappies, like diapers. I'm going to need those for like another 20 years, hopefully, fingers crossed. And I'm really deeply offended that the robot in the computer thinks that I wet myself. How do I tell her? I don't wet myself. I'm just a pervert. Anyway, you got some other great comics coming up today. I'm going to hand you back to Vish. Have a wonderful event.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Liana. She's actually quite new on the scene and she's killing it. We have a special surprise. She's white, wait for your other comments. No, kidding. I always do this with her. So we are giving out prizes to her favorite audience member. So if there's somebody that you thought was a billionaire or cute or laughed very well, you can give one of the prizes here. Yeah? Cicely? Yeah. Choose just anyone.
My future husband.
Oh, Indian that. Wow. Thank you. Okay, listen, give it up for Liana. Yeah, I promised you variety. Now the next stop is a comedian from Saudi Arabia. Yes, and she is super funny. If she were a startup, she would be her own mentor, her own crowd funding, and she would be her own investor. because not only she cracks jokes, she laughs at herself, and it is bloody hilarious. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's call on stage Rowan. Take off.
Hi. So good to see you. I'm Rowan, and I'm Saudi, like you said. And the reaction I get when people hear that I'm Saudi in Dubai is always the same. But you don't look Saudi. Both parents? Yes. Grandparents? Yes. Great-grandparents? Yes. I'm gonna start walking around with a family tree and a DNA test in my pocket. You guys, I wanted to start a company once with my friend, right? We were gonna be the next big thing, right? We were so excited. And then we met with our lawyer, and she said, great, just sign these papers. Shareholder agreement, IP assignment agreement, employment agreement, co-founder agreement, NDA, non-compete. So I looked at my friend, we discussed it, and we decided that wearing a tie to a tie event is the best way forward. I was an advisor to an edtech company once, and it was a startup. So the only person we could afford to hire was my neighbor, sweet old retired Mrs. Cumberbatch. I asked her to do something once, and she waited a whole week to tell me no. My dog's got rabies. She said, damn it, I didn't know rabies still existed. But I had to admire her efficiency. Because even though she made me wait a whole week, it was at least 3 months faster than starting a corporate checking account at Emirates MBD. Yeah, I do laugh at my own jokes. Yeah, you're right. When I was working for that company, we won an award. And at the award ceremony, I met another entrepreneur. He was very impressive. He was only 6 months in, but he has already won 32 awards. Top 30 under 30, innovative disruptor of 2025, a startup of the century. So I was curious. I asked him, who's backing you? My family office. I said, great, which one? He said, my mom. I need his mom's number. Hello, I'm homegrown, Arab, woman. I meet all of the CSR targets. and I'm already incorporated. I have an Emirates ID and an Instagram page. Okay, you know how like everybody's LinkedIn page says investor, right? Even mine. I'm a very proud real estate investor. I have 500 dirhams invested on stake. I own the doorknob. Very important. You can't get in without the doorknob. So I guess you figured I was a management consulting for a very long time, about 15 years. And it was so much stress, a lot of like sleepless nights, deadlines, travel. So I quit. I left a stable career, money, health insurance, to come tell you jokes. It turns out they have KPIs in comic too. Laughs, LPM, laughs per minute. I guess I'm not meeting my targets here either. But I hope you meet all of yours. That's it for me today.
Give it up for Rowan. I'm very close to her because she just returned my passport. So Rowan, any favorite or late alarm? Give anything, anyone. Anyone? Oh, wow. Thank you so much. What? Yes. It's actually a fact. If you come into stand-up comedy and you try doing it, they measure you on LTM. So it's pretty insane. So we learn how to write stand-up in our comedy writing sessions to calculate punchlines at the right point. So, ladies and gentlemen, before I call the next comic, I want to let you guys know a little warning that you can laugh at her jokes. Okay, she's a bit edgy, to be honest, but she's written them to make you laugh, so do not hesitate. She's a very close friend of mine because she got me very close to Allah with her driving. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's call on stage Anoor!
Hey Besh, guess who's driving you home? Hi everyone, I'm Anwar. I'm half Egyptian, half Saudi. My mom is Saudi. My dad is a gold digger. I want to ask you guys a question. Have you ever heard Habibi come to Dubai? But have you heard Habibi come work in Dubai and get an apartment 3 minutes away from Burj Khalifa Metro? Because we're tricked. Like, let me tell you about my first work experience in Dubai. I was put in a team with different cultures or different nationalities to, assess how we're gonna work together. First guy, he was Emirati. He never showed up. Second guy, he was British. He assigned himself as our team lead. She was Indian. She was more of a Kim Kardashian if she had the Pashmina. Like every time we would call her on a Zoom meeting, she's like, my internet is not working when I'm not being unrespected. This is not my vibe. And last two people, it was an Egyptian guy and a Moroccan girl, but they were just flirting. Like he would tell her, hey, you remind me of this Moroccan football player, Yassine Bono, who's a keeper. I used to work in Google, and when I say this to people, they think I'm so smart. I used to do like SALIC, for example, or do projects for NASA. I didn't. My work was basically telling people like how to share a file, how to open the Gmail, this button, not this one, the next one. Good job! These were people with PhDs. Sometimes people would call me, I send an email, unsend it. And my absolute favorite, my Google Maps don't work. I don't use Google Maps, I use Waze. But I'm a huge disappointment for my family because even as a Google engineer, my mom doesn't understand how can I fix the blender. But what I hate more than customers and these requirements? My colleagues. The peer-to-peer review or the 360 reviews, and they have to be anonymous. Like, let me tell you some of the anonymous. She talks too much in meetings. Fatma, I know it's you. I was pitching the project. Can be more approachable. Calling me at 6 a.m. for a quick sale is not the best approach. And this one, it really hurt me. She doesn't consider us as family. Do you know how much I hate my first one? But what I hate more than the jobs actually is driving. Like, guys, give it up if you like a UE. I love UE, I love how regulated it is, but I cannot help it, but sometimes miss driving in my home country. Like I miss running over pedestrians and suing them. Here I don't have to make sure they cross the road, I have to make sure they have a better life. Like this is my impression of communicating with a pedestrian in Egypt. This is a new UE. That's been my time, thank you so much guys.
Once again, give it up for Anoor. She said she's going to give it to somebody hot. So. Will you specify gender? Oh wow, okay. Thank you. Give it up once again for a note. So guys, we're down to our last comic, and how can you have a startup community without the Chinese getting involved in it? So next one is one of our favorite comedians in Dubai. He's killing in the scene. So ladies and gentlemen, let's call on stage Seven.
Thank you. Good afternoon, beautiful, important people. My name is Seven. Remember? I have a sister. Her name is 11. We run a small family convenience store in Asia called 7-Eleven. Crazy Rich Asians, huh? Thank you guys so much for coming out, laughing at our stuff. Look at how beautiful this is. Really appreciate it. And since we have all these Arabs here, I'd like to talk about a cousin of mine, Ashraf Hakimi. Anybody know who that is? Any straight guys here? No? Ashraf Hakimi is a Moroccan top football player. Used to play for Real Madrid. Now he plays for PSG, right? And every month, I know we have some wannabe billionaires here, but Ashraf Hakimi is getting paid €1 million a month. €1 million a month, right? And all the money goes straight to his mom's account. I didn't know Arabs were so good at math. Because Ashraf Hakimi married a supermodel, every man's dream, right? And lately his wife is suing him for divorce. Yeah, they don't show these love stories on DC channels. But as the investigation goes, turns out Ashraf Hakimi owns nothing. Not even an apartment in Sharjah, right? You see, I was at the Qatar World Cup when Morocco beat Portugal. I was there in the stadium. I was devastated because Cristiano Ronaldo and I, we have a very special bond. We wear underwear with our same name on it, CR7. We use fragrances with our name on it, CR7. I moved to UAE for work, he moved to Saudi for work. Shui, no? And then since we have a lot of entrepreneurs, I'm a little entrepreneur myself. Can I talk about something a little bit intimate? Yeah, a bit more private. Yeah, something that keeps me awake at night. Keeps me going when I wake up during the day. Paddle tennis. No? Anybody? Any white people here? No? Play paddle tennis? No? Yeah. See, white people, stereotypes are social. So, if you don't know what paddle tennis is basically tennis for non-athletic people. Paddle is the only sport that an average-looking guy like me who still have a chance to become an amateur player play on weekend leagues, right? And if you want to be good at tennis, you gotta be tall, you gotta be strong, you gotta speak freaking French. And I'm a communist, I love paddle so much, right? Along with paddle, there's the biggest thing in Dubai these days, I'm sure you guys noticed, is these Chinese cars, right? But this time, we're very subtle. The Chinese car used to have names like Great Wall, right? Like right in your face. But, we are very subtle. We call them like Exceed, Jetour. I'm Chinese, I don't even know what Jetour is. I think we French it up a little bit, like the Lebanese. And I was outside my paddle club the other day, and I saw an Indian dude driving a Jetour tank. Do you know what a Jetour tank is? It's basically a rip-off version of Range Rover Defender, but 1/4 of the price. That's 25% for you white people. And I feel very patriotic, so I pulled out my Jaguar next to him. I wrote on the windows, because I asked for customer feedback. I was like, dude, how does our car feel when you drive it, right? How do you feel? Do you feel good, right? And the Indian dude is so Indian, instead of talking about the car, he started to brag about how great a deal he got. He's like, I bought the car for 1.3, now it's 150, you have to wait for 2. I will never buy a freaking Chinese car though. Because what this Indian dude doesn't know is that that car is only half the price in China than in Dubai. I just sell them to the Indians and let them know they made a good deal about it. Entrepreneurs. And before I go, there's something also, very small I want to share with you guys. Before I moved to Dubai, like many of you, I had no idea that next to China, Russia, United States, America, there's another global superpower, Lebanon. And everything is better in Beirut, even the Chinese food. But you see, I become obsessed with the Lebanese culture. I started to call people Habibi. I eat shawarma all the time. I took out 12 credit cards to buy Gucci shoes I cannot afford. And from time to time, I even turn off electricity in my home in Marina. My name is Sabat. I'm an Arab that's made in China. Thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy your event. Thank you so much.
Euro for 7, ladies and gentlemen. 7. You have to give somebody. Yeah, who's your favorite audience member? Okay.
This lady right there.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, you see, come to you. Okay. They deliver.
Kita.
Thank you so much. Is she a billionaire? Okay. On your way. Okay, very good. So that's it from the Expression Lab. So, guys, we are doing this today as a massive love and support for TiE Dubai, because the TiE Dubai founding and community have attended and survived all our open mics. They have survived 35 comedians who did their test material, and they were very supportive. So please give them a round of applause for being supportive for the performing arts as well. It's not feel free to mix with the comics. You can join the Expression Lab. We have a session every Monday. We want to do more. If you want to do it here, we can. We help you get feedback, learn and get better. Speak to the comics, follow them, not home, follow them online. You can follow me home to my bed space. I have curtains, it's okay. So now we are down to the main person of the event, and see guys, I'm a little bit concerned about this man. You see, in January of 2023, he started Metastat, partnered up with Steve Bartlett. Within 2 years, he made $100 million revenues for all his clients, all at the age of 22. Now he has nothing to look forward to in life. He made it. That's it. That's his life done. He's probably going to come to Expression Lab and say, hey, I'm a millionaire and my life sucks. Look at me, I'm close to 40, taking the with hopes in my heart and dream in my pocket. I have a lot to look forward to. So I think it's very beautiful and sadistic of TiE Dubai to ask me to call on stage a 22-year-old multi-millionaire who made it in life. So ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Tom Lewis!
Hello, everybody. What a nice picture that is. I can't promise I'm going to be as funny as the comedians. Well done, everybody, by the way. I'll wait for this to come up. Cool. It's a bit of a negative title, actually, why most meta ads fail. But they do. Most meta ads do fail. Oh, thank you. That's something important I'll need. Yeah, most meta ads do fail. So hopefully, by the end of this session, you will know how not to fail. And also how to fix yours in 2026. Just can I get a show of hands? How many people do actively run meta ads at the moment? How many people have run meta ads and then failed? Okay, cool. So, agenda section 1, who am I? Yeah, a little bit of a background if you haven't already looked me up. I'm very Googleable. Section 2, the huge shift in performance marketing, which will dive into essentially what's happening in 2026 with performance marketing. Can you guys see okay? Yeah. Do you want me to move this side? Is that better? Make sure I don't trip up. So yeah, section 2, huge shift in performance marketing that we're seeing in 2026. Section 3, the biggest mistake most advertisers make is actually a lot more simple than probably a lot of you think. And unfortunately, it's actually something that Meta want as much of your money as possible. Section 4, why your creative matters so much. This is super important in 2026 creative. Whenever I talk to Meta reps, they're always talking about why creative is so important and why you guys should be focusing mostly on creative going into this year. Section 5, optimizing the funnel post-click, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end. I've been told I've only got 40 minutes, so I'm going to try and rattle through all this. So who am I? I've spent the last 5 years running Meta Ads, invested well over $100 million into Meta Ads as a team collectively. So my team back in the UK, we probably invested well over $500 million into Meta Ads. So I guess that gives you a bit of credibility that I hopefully know what I'm talking about. And we now work with some of the world's biggest creators and brands, including Stephen Bartlett, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Love Islanders like Molly May, people like that, with their brands. Creators. What's my association with Stephen Bartlett? This is usually plastered everywhere that I go. It's a nice association to have, and Steve's a great guy. Just as a bit of a backstory, very TLDR version, otherwise it'll take forever, but we started working with the Direct CEO as a client back in 2023. I worked with Steve for about 6 months before he then wanted me to go and work for him in-house. I actually just moved to Dubai at this point, so I politely declined his offer, which is a bit ballsy for me. And then 2 months later, he reached back out to me again, and he said, "Are you sure you don't want to come work in-house for me?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Okay, well, why don't we figure out some kind of alternative? I need what you do, you're clearly good at what you do." So then he suggested that we become business partners, and yeah, since then we've been growing Metastat to what it is now. We started with 3 people, now we're just over 15. So yeah, we've grown a lot in the last 2 years. And a little bit of credibility as well. I don't know if you can play these, this is just a voice.
Of all the people that I've met that do paid marketing, I would say not only is Tom the best and his team, but also they're the best people. And this is really critical because Tom won't bullshit you, Tom won't lie to you, Tom won't tell you anything that isn't true. You can trust Tom 100%. And Tom responds super fast, and he acts like part of your team.
So yeah, that was a little bit of credibility from Steve, and then there's also a Dragon's Den clip, which is, for anyone who doesn't know, the equivalent of Shark Tank.
Looking for it? I've been looking for you, and here you are. I own 2 performance marketing companies, one called Metastat and one called Flight Performance. And Metastat is particularly good with this type of business of this size. So they've taken one Dragon's Den investment I made 2 years ago in the beverage space, which, by the way, we got into Waitrose last week, had all the buyers in the house, but also who run one of the very interesting beverage companies in this country, like Huel and Grenade and the Brewdogs of the world, who I think could really give you a roadmap how to scale a DC.
Anyway, that's a little bit of credibility from Steve. These are a few businesses that we've worked with. I don't know why that one appears at the end, but yeah, a few of the businesses that we continue to work with and have worked with in the past, some of which I'm sure you'll probably recognise. So, section 2, the huge shift in performance marketing that we are seeing. And I wanted to start really by, I did a little bit of research just to feel what the sort of consensus was in the market around performance marketing. And this guy here, B Brizzy, if that's how you want to pronounce his username, he said, "I can't lie, I'm burnt out. Someone else felt like all marketing has become performance marketing. Maybe some of the big brands still get budget for storytelling and brand building and engagement, but over the last 3 to 4 years, it feels like everything I do is just designed to sell." Who else feels like that's true in this day and age? Depends if we've got brand marketers or performance marketers there. This guy here, he's complaining around people just telling him to run some ads. And suddenly it's very clear that a lot of the time they're not looking for a performance marketer. They're looking for a magician, a therapist with Meta Access, or a miracle worker with their KPI coma. So a lot of people, they expect too much from Meta Ads without the right fundamentals a lot of the time. So hopefully you'll learn the fundamentals today. This guy, he's a VP of performance marketing, and he's the first one to say that brand marketing is absolutely critical. I explain it, performance marketing, and I really like this analogy, that performance marketing is just the gears, brand marketing is the grease, right? So gears with no grease means it requires a huge amount of effort to get things moving, and grease without gears as well, just a bottle of grease, right? So you need both. You need both the grease and the gears in all of your meta ads to work. You need both performance marketing and brand marketing. So good brand marketing work better, and it's very hard to do them siloed, at least scalable. This guy is just telling that he loves this analogy and he wants to steal it. This guy, I don't know what he's on Reddit threads, but anyway. And this is, another guy, well, the same guy actually, performance marketing isn't magic, it's math. And if that offends you, then you're the problem. Not sure why people get so heads up on Reddit threads, but there we go. And that led me to this statement, which I don't think there's anything, or there's no such thing as performance marketing, which is, some people would agree, some people wouldn't. But all marketing should perform, right? You run performance marketing for it to perform. So it's actually just a matter of when. It's not should it perform, should it not perform. It's a matter of when it performs. And the ability to get it perform is the ability to merge those two things together, performance and brand marketing. So this multiplier effect framework explains it quite well. When you balance both brand mix, it yields an average of 90% uplift in ROI versus performance only, right? So again, I couldn't stress it more to you guys that both running both brand and performance marketing, the data suggests it, that you will get a better return on investment as opposed to when you overinvest in performance marketing alone, your ROI is actually cut by 20 to 50%. And the source down there just to show you that I'm not making this stuff up. This is a nice example here, Live Anywhere campaign that Airbnb run. So when travel demand dropped in COVID, this was for Airbnb, they actually slashed their performance ad spend by 58%. They refocused on brand storytelling. And that was what this Live Anywhere campaign was. And what this shift drove was higher direct site visits and organic bookings, sustained brand awareness even with reduced paid spend, and the result was more efficient performance funnel with traffic and bookings rebounding significantly. So I guess that just proves that you don't need, or you can slash your performance ad spend and an amount, 58% in this case, and still see a better return on investment overall by focusing on stuff like that, which is creative and making people feel something and making people feel the ability that they can live anywhere. This is the CEO, Brian Chesky, good friend of Steve's actually, had him on the podcast quite recently. And he said what the pandemic showed is that we can take performance marketing down to zero, still have 95% of the same traffic as the year before. And he's not going to forget that lesson, which is very important. Nike CEO John here, he said that we shifted marketing investments from, sorry, I've got a fly flying around me. We shifted marketing investments from brand building to sales activation, and the company lost its emotional connection. And it's really important, two words there, emotional connection. I'll come to that on the creative side. With consumers and customer acquisition costs climbed, right? So in Nike's case, they overinvested, or they shifted from brand building, which obviously Nike and with a lot of their campaigns, and they tried over-investing into performance marketing or away from brand marketing, and being too salesy and D2C meant that they were worse off overall. Mr. Sutherland, who knows Mr. Sutherland? Rory Sutherland? Yeah, really good marketer, very, very good guy. If you haven't already watched him, watch some of his stuff. It really does make sense. And he said when you only measure what's easy to measure, you stop doing the things that actually work, right? So a lot of people, they like doing something because it's very easy to measure. Performance marketing is easy to measure, but by doing that, you actually stop doing the things that actually work, which is the brand marketing, the storytelling, the creative, that gets people to feel something and that emotional connection. And then finally, the Meta CMO himself says he actually hates the word performance marketing. There's direct response marketing, and there's also brand marketing, and there's a continuum between the two, but it all performs. So obviously that goes back to my previous quote at the beginning of this section. So what is growth? Growth is getting more from your current audience and or tapping into a new audience. This one is a little bit easier to do. This one's a little bit harder to do. Both of them cause growth. This could be, for example, getting more from your current audience, could be getting them to spend more. If you're an e-commerce brand, tapping into an audience, obviously that's tapping into an audience that you haven't already reached or advertised to. But both of them will cause, or hopefully cause, growth. Now, what we're seeing, and this goes back to this performance marketing shift that we're seeing, is that there's a headline here from Meta that came out middle of last year on the 2nd of June. And Meta aims to fully automate advertising by 2026. I don't think that's going to probably happen until maybe 2027, at least fully automated. There's already a lot of parts of it that this fly is really annoying me. There's a lot of parts of it that are already pretty automated, but yeah, Meta wants to try and automate it altogether. I think, like I say, it's probably going to happen in 2027, but it means that what's going to happen, well, here's another example if you search at the moment, there's plenty of different rappers who are trying to become your Meta ads agent, especially in the world of AI agents. That's become a lot more prevalent recently. But this is the ugly future of performance media, right? All of your performance marketing, or everyone's performance marketing, is going to look like this because AI are going to be creating the creatives, right? And what that means is you're going to have this sea of the same, where everything looks the same. Nothing makes anyone feel any more emotion or connection. And I mean, hands up here, but when you see a 25% off summer must-haves, does that make you feel anything, feel any connection, any emotion? Do you want to see that on social media? Probably not. So it's been forced down people's throats, seeing this kind of stuff, and it's only going to get worse as Meta automate the entire advertising process and also eventually create creative, which I think is probably one of the last things that is going to come out of it. And we modeled this against both return on investment and CPM. CPM is cost per thousand impressions. So this is modeled against return on spend, and you can see here at the timeline at the bottom, 2024 is kind of previously, and then obviously now we're in 2026, which is when Meta wants to, or was going to introduce the AI automation. And you can see there that it's actually no longer become, by 2029, it's no longer going to become feasible to run Meta ads at least profitably on your on first order, or at least first order profitability. So I think there's going to be a big shift with either one of two things: either advertisers creating more creative that's emotionally connective with people, or connecting with people actually want to watch on the platform, or you're going to have to focus on something called LTV, which is lifetime value. So you're not necessarily profitable on first order, but over 12 months, as customers come back, they're going to be buying from you again, and you're going to focus more on return on investment as opposed to return on ad spend. Not necessarily, this isn't the exact CPM or average CPM that you're going to see, but it's the trends that we're seeing going forward. Because just to touch on this as well, actually, is that Meta works on a very simple supply and demand in the auction. So there's a supply of impressions, which is the daily active users on the platform, and there's a demand for those impressions, which are all of these people here who want to advertise to those people who are active on the platforms, right? So the more demand there is for those impressions, the impressions usually stay roughly the same, but the more demand there is, the more Meta can charge for them, because, like I say, it's simple supply and demand. And in the age of AI, in every industry, there's always two choices. Number one is you can ignore it, deny it, and hope it doesn't impact you, and you might look like this guy here. Or number two, you can acknowledge, embrace, and lean in, which is absolutely the approach that I would personally take, and you might look like this guy here. So, section 2, the biggest mistake that advertisers make. People don't actually tell Meta what they want. And it seems blatantly obvious, but Meta is incredibly, incredibly good at getting you what you tell it that you want, right? So there's something called the ODAX menu on Meta. Has anyone who's run Meta ads seen this before? Show of hands. Yeah, cool. If you haven't, then this is essentially what happens when you click a big green create button on Meta Ads Manager to create a campaign. And ODAX stands for outcome-driven ad experiences, right? And you've got 6 different, or at least 6 at the moment, this is always changing, but 6 different campaign objectives that you can select. And what these campaign objectives mean are a variety of things. So you've got the awareness at the top, which is really only for bigger brands who want more eyeballs. It's very hard to measure the impact of awareness because you're optimizing for reach, you're optimizing for impressions. It doesn't really tell you much more other than the amount of people you reach. So usually you'll see the bigger brands running these awareness campaigns, and that's usually alongside some of these other objectives to try and get more incremental reach, which is net new eyeballs on your ads. You've got traffic, which is great for click experimentation. It's actually something that we do for the Diary of a CEO podcast, which is Steve's podcast, second largest podcast in the world. We do all of the experimentation for their thumbnails on YouTube. So what they do is they have anywhere between 50 to 100 thumbnails per episode, and we use a traffic objective to test those on paid. So we run all of those 50 to 100 thumbnails. We find out which one is going to produce the best click-through rate, and then we use usually the top 3 and then implement them into YouTube afterwards and do a secondary A/B test on YouTube using their features. But traffic you probably don't really want to use unless you're doing it for some kind of experimentation. That's actually the biggest mistake or objective that when we go in audit ad accounts is that people see this, people who don't really know what they're doing with an ads manager. And it's not your fault because Meta also recommend this because they want your money. But traffic campaign is optimizing for people who are likely to click, not convert. So if you're looking for leads or sales, you don't want to be using the traffic objective. You're going to get a bunch of clicks, but Meta knows who clicks and who then doesn't convert after they've clicked. So you're likely to be serving your ad to a lot of those impressions that just click and don't convert. Engagement, I've never really understood why Meta have this option. It's just comments, likes, all that kind of stuff. But your ads, if it's good enough, your ad's going to get that sort of stuff anyway. Leads is probably one of the major ones that some of you guys here who want to generate leads would run with. It's the best option, as I said there, if you want to generate leads, either in-platform or externally, and I'll get onto that in a minute. So you can generate leads both in-platform but also off-platform on website or a page, landing page, anything like that. App promotion, I'm not sure if anyone has an app here. Anyone have an app? Yeah. App promotion is a little bit harder to set up the tracking for, but once you've set up the tracking, it can be super, super powerful. So you can either optimize for downloads, app downloads, or you can optimize for in-app events. I would actually recommend optimizing for in-app events because downloads don't really mean anything. It's a nice number on the screen. It's a bit like the equivalent of traffic as a campaign. You get a load of downloads, but you don't really get anything after that. So optimize for in-app events. I would actually recommend you get someone technical to set up the tracking side of things because it's quite complicated when you're trying to set that up. And measurement is the most important thing when you're running any advertising campaign. And then sales, which is probably the biggest one that most advertisers use at the bottom, which is for e-commerce brands looking to sell products, or also if you're looking to sell tickets to an event as well. So like I say, leads and sales are the two major ones that you guys will be using. Leads here, as I just mentioned, good for website and instant forms. Messenger, Instagram, and WhatsApp conversations as well, so you can get people to actually initiate conversations with you through Messenger, Instagram, WhatsApp, and then also calls as well. Calls are a little bit more complicated because if you run a calls objective or a calls campaign, then you don't want your ads to be running at 2 in the morning when no one's going to call you. So it's a little bit more, you might need to set up something called day parting for that, so it's a little bit more complicated. But yeah, the website and instant forms are usually the main ones. And then sales over there, you can see you've got conversions, catalog sales, and also Messenger, Instagram, WhatsApp. I don't know where people would convert. We don't tend to use those, neither do we use calls for sales campaigns. But yeah, conversions and catalog sales are the main ones there. Catalog sales are essentially just it's called a dynamic product ad, so it's imported from something called Shopify, which is usually where most e-commerce brands run their entire business. And then catalog sales are kind of the flat layers that you see within feed. If you're scrolling your feed and you see a clothing brand and you swipe through a load of images or product images, product flat layers with a white background, that's usually a catalog ad, which essentially is pulling from your Shopify store. And this is based on 15 million data points at any given time, right? So Meta has on any given person, every single one of you, it probably has around 15 million data points, which is pretty scary for a lot of people, but it means that that's why Meta is probably the biggest intent-driven advertising platform on the planet. Meta knows websites you've been on 15 years ago. If you're on Facebook 15 years ago, it knows what you've got in your cart at the moment on competitor websites. Hence why it's so good at being able to leverage that data and serve you relevant ads, right? Because without relevant ads, a lot of people wouldn't stay on the platform because it becomes annoying seeing ads that aren't relevant for you, especially if you click the don't allow button when on all of your apps when when Apple asks you to opt into the privacy and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, 15 million data points at any given time. A very common question that I get asked is, what budget shall I run with? It's probably the most common question whenever I tell people to run Meta ads. And there's not actually really a correct answer to that question. However, you've got this sliding scale here. At the bottom, you've got, I can afford to lose this. At the top, you've got, I really don't want to lose this. And there's a sweet spot in the middle there that you want to be in. You don't want to be at the sort of the bottom end where you're spending $5-10 a day and you're like, I don't really care about this, I'm not going to look at it, because there's no point in running the ads in the first place if you don't look at it, if it's more of a set and forget. But you don't want to be at the top end where you're investing your life savings or the entire business savings into Meta ads, and if it doesn't go to plan, then you don't want to lose that. So somewhere in that middle section is a sweet spot. Not an answer that most people like, but it's probably the best answer that I can give. It's also very much based on like what you want to achieve. So if you set yourself a goal of, let's say, I want 50 leads or 100 leads and I'm willing to spend this much per lead or per sale, that usually gives you a pretty good indicator of how much you should be spending. But sweet spot in the middle is where you want to be on budget. This is getting a little bit more technical now, so this is probably only relevant to people who have run Meta ads before and have sort of seen ABO or CBO. So what does ABO, CBO stand for? ABO is ad set budget optimization. CBO is campaign budget optimization. You'll see this when you go to the ad set level, the campaign level. You'll see this budget section appear here, and then you've got campaign budget, ad set budget, and this is kind of an explanation as to how campaign budget works, which I would personally recommend for all advertising campaigns. So you'll set your daily budget here. In this case, it's got £1,000, but in this case, it's got $100. Meta will then allocate to your ad sets, which is, I'll get into that, sort of what's housed in your ad set in a minute, but Meta will allocate that $100 to the best performing ad set. So in this case, if this was to run and ad set A was to perform a lot better, then likely Meta would allocate $80 to that ad set and then $20 to the other ad set. And then you've got your actual ads, which are your creatives, housed underneath those ad sets there, and again, Meta distributes that budget from the ad set to the various different ads within those ad sets. So you can run ad set budget optimization, but I probably wouldn't suggest it, because it's always best to leave Meta to do the heavy lifting. A lot of the time where a lot of people that go wrong with ads is that they try and intervene with it too much, they try and control the budget at the ad set level when actually they don't really need to. It's a lot better for Meta to allocate that spend for you to the ad set that's likely to perform the best, or usually does perform the best. And then I also get asked, what should I optimize for? So again, this is at the ad set level. You've selected your campaign goal. Going back to this here, you've selected either usually leads or sales, and then you get to the ad set level, and it asks you this here. So in terms of your conversion location, where's that happening? Website is usually the key location. Performance goal, maximize value of conversions. You can, so this is a drop down when you select this, you can select, or usually the default option before, actually this is a relatively new feature, was maximize number of conversions. That's essentially telling Meta that you want the highest volume of purchases or leads or whatever it is that you're optimizing for. And then this one here is that you want to maximize the value of your conversions, right? So if Meta thinks, and this goes back to the 15 million data points that Meta has on you, if Meta thinks you're likely to spend more as a customer and you're optimizing for value as opposed to volume, then you're likely to see, if you're optimizing for this, then that consumer is likely to see that ad, because they're likely to spend more on whatever it is that you're advertising to them. I would personally start with this one, maximize the number of conversions, the volume of conversions, just because, especially if your ad account's new, you haven't run any ads before, you want as many as much volume of conversion as possible. Otherwise, Meta finds it hard to optimize from that. Other goals here, you don't really need to pay any attention to them because they're pretty insignificant, and I personally wouldn't use them. I don't see a need to use them either. And then leads, if you're optimizing for leads, again, where the event is happening, website, you can change this to website and instant forms, website and calls if you're looking for calls, or instant forms and messengers. That's automated chatbots that happen on Messenger, et cetera, et cetera. Or you can go for single, which I usually, or we do for any kind of lead gen clients that we have. We tend to do a single conversion location instead. Sometimes we're split testing website versus instant forms. But website here is if you've got a landing page with any type of form on it, then that's the best goal to set. So let's say you're sending someone to a landing page and it's got a form at the bottom, then you're going to want to select website as the conversion location. And then Instant Forms is essentially a form that's contained within platform. It's a lot easier to set up. Meta prefers it because it's in platform. And it's, if you don't have a website and you don't sort of have something called a pixel, which is, I could go into so much more detail here, but I don't have time to go into too much nitty-gritty detail. But if you don't have a pixel, then Instant Forms is probably the best option to select. And then who should you target? I personally would, this is at the ad set level again, I personally would, when you get to this Advantage Plus audience option, leave it alone, have it fully broad. Meta's very, very good at determining who best to serve your ad to and who best to target. And then if you do want to, so if you select this button here, audience suggestion, obviously it's optional so you don't need to, that brings up then this menu here where you can select your age range, your gender. This includes custom audiences if you want to retarget anyone in your existing database or Instagram followers or whatever that may be. And then detail targeting, which are interests and behaviors down at the bottom there. So if you've got a new ad account, in this example here, I've put various different running interests for example, a running brand, but you can guide Meta's algorithm if your ad account is totally fresh. But to be honest with you, Meta's algorithm is so powerful now that broad targeting usually works as long as you've got creative that speaks to the audience that you want to speak to and target. And then finally, which placements should you target? Again, my recommendation is Advantage Plus placements. You can control those placements and you can select if you're wanting to advertise on Facebook, Instagram, Audience Network, Messenger, Threads, and then even more granular if you only want to target feed, for example, if you've only got the aspect ratio of creative for feed. But my opinion and what I've been told by countless Meta reps is always optimize for Advantage Plus placements and create your ad so you fit into both feed and stories. So usually that's 1:1, 4:5 aspect ratio for the actual creative itself, and then 9:16 across all stories and Reels placements. Section 2, why your creative matters the most in today's world. So the funnel is very much fractured nowadays. It's not the same as it used to be. This is what everyone expected, or everyone used to expect a funnel to look like and growth to look like, is linear in that straight line. But actually, it's very much a little bit manic now in terms of where people go and what people interact with. I think the last study I read, there was 52 touch points within a standard funnel nowadays, which is why consumer behavior is not linear, and therefore true growth is actually unpredictable now because you can't predict something on a very linear line like that. It's very much, like I say, multiple different touch points, multiple different platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Meta, Snapchat, Pinterest, all these other platforms. And interest-based media is the shift that we're seeing from social media, where obviously primarily you saw content from your friends. Obviously everyone follows their friends, their family, etc., etc. It's changed to interest-based media now with all this data that Meta has, where you're now primarily seeing content from strangers, right? That's what your For You page is for. That's what your Reels For You page is for, etc., etc. And this has flipped the power balance from media buying to creative, and why creative is so important nowadays. And the winners and the people who succeed in Meta ads, they understand how to speak to interest and desires through creative, not just target demographics. So I can't reiterate that enough, is that if you actually understand how to speak to your target audience through creative, you will outperform a lot of the people who are trying to still focus on targeting demographics, when actually you can just let Meta do a lot of the heavy lifting and work for you there. So there's a few of my current favorite ads here, especially this Liquid Death one in the middle. Still don't understand how that brand got so big when it's literally just water, but now consumers, they fall in love on social. The winning brands, they're creating moments, movements, and viral loops to engage their audience. These are some examples, as I said. This guy here, he's literally getting into an ice bath. Liquid Death, if none of you know, or any of you know, is literally just a water brand, but they're very disruptive in the content that they create. This is a classic example of it, right? When someone sees that on social, you see that on your For You page, you're going to watch something like that because you're like, why the hell is the guy getting into an ice bath when it's meant to be a water brand, right? But very, very clever what they do there. This is a nice theory here that kind of reiterates really about creative and why humans are motivated not just by rewards or triggers, but by the pursuit of autonomy, mastery, and the key word there is connection. I can't tell the people here enough that if you want to create ads on social, then get people to feel connected. If you look at the ad and you watch the ad and you think, would I see that and feel a sense of connection to the brand, then most likely not many other people would feel that connection, right? So you've really got to create ads that make people feel that connection and make people want to stay on the platform longer, right? Because at the end of the day, Meta will reward you for that because they're staying on the platform for longer, they're seeing more ads, Meta's making more ad revenue, et cetera, et cetera. So connection is super, super powerful. And content is now currency. It's not just creative. As I said, if you create better content, then you're going to get rewarded by the algorithm and by the platforms by creating better creative. So it's really shifted this like power balance, and it's now more currency than it is just creative. And this guy, Steve Jobs, this is a really lovely quote that I use quite often. Which is you have to view your brand like a bank account, and every interaction that you make with it is either a deposit or a withdrawal. Cat doesn't like that. Every interaction you make with your brand is either a deposit or withdrawal. An example of this deposit is if you're doing brand activity that make people feel something, that make people want to stay on the platform, that make people want to engage with your brand, that's a deposit into your brand bank account. A withdrawal is if you run a 50% off sale, right? So you're withdrawing from that bank account. If you keep doing that, if you keep doing 50%, 30%, buy one get one free, all of these kind of offers, then you're going to withdraw eventually to a point where your bank balance is zero and you no longer have a brand, right? And it's beautifully put there by Steve Jobs in the kind of relation to a bank account. But just one ad can really change everything. And this is a perfect example of how one ad here in this outlier table, which is a lovely, another visual representation of all of these sort of hits that you can see here, all of these are ads, right? So this is how much is spent on the y-axis, and then on the x-axis is essentially all of the ads that we launched. And you can see here that there's this one ad up here that spent nearly $200,000, and without that one ad, or without testing that one ad, or without testing all of these others down here, then we wouldn't have found that one ad at the top. So it's super, super important for creative velocity and creative volume that you try all of these sort of misses, I guess you could say, at the bottom before you find that outlier at the top that is going to almost live forever and propel your ad account and your advertising as a whole. And this is an example of a brand that we work with called Dutch Barn. It's a vodka brand by Ricky Gervais, which is quite fitting since he's a comedian as well. But this vodka brand, this is what they were running before. They were running very boring statics, okay? It's a nice visual of a cup there with some cherries, but it's literally saying what the product is, saying the flavor, and they were sending those people over to a homepage that really didn't explain what the product or the brand was about. And funnily enough, people don't make the association with Ricky Gervais and vodka, right? It's not an association that people make. People are like, why the hell has Ricky Gervais created the vodka brand? Probably because he wanted more money. After, what we did is we changed the creative entirely. So we ran stuff like this. We ran videos of Ricky talking to camera, face-to-camera content. Buying Dutch Barn will make a person rich and happy, and that person is Ricky Gervais, as I said. If vodka and cherry bakewell had a baby, then that's what you'd get, right? So it's when you look at that one specifically, it's getting people to feel and imagine like something in their head. Especially with flavor, it's very hard for people to imagine what something might taste like without very, very clever copy like that on an asset or on an ad that gets people to try and imagine like what that flavor is gonna taste like when they try it. And then you've got, like I say, the one in the middle of Ricky Gervais talking, which gives it that kind of credibility and social proof. And again, it's what people want to watch on social. You don't want to just see all of these statics, especially if this had a huge sticker on that said 50% off, or 3 for 2, or buy one get one free, or anything like that. And what this shift caused, where we moved from this to this, which is a lot more kind of like storytelling content. And you can see here, 461 comments, 588 comments, 131 shares. Like, people are actually engaging. That's a really good indicator of this engagement, that these ads were performing well, is if people are actually taking the time to comment and share it with their friends. It's really good signals as well for Meta to understand what ads are performing or should be performing better, and Meta should be rewarding you with a lower cost of advertising, lower CPM. And what that caused, that shift, is that when you, on a Google sort of organic search result perspective, as soon as you, I don't know what a Dutch Barn shed is, or a Dutch Barn nursery, but Dutch Barn vodka was the top result that came up. And again, you can see there that the flavors are starting to come through: black cherry vodka, Dutch Barn, as well. So this is an after effect that you see of creating great content. It's not just the return on investment that you get from the ads themselves. Is the kind of this is what brand building is, right? This is that you don't see the effects of this necessarily directly on the ad platform from running these types of ads, but this is when you see the secondary effects of this. Again, another example, before and after. This is a very cool brand based in the UK that is founded by two ex-SAS military people, and they created this brand called Through Dark because they found that a lot of the stuff that they were wearing on the field just wasn't sort of up to the quality that they needed it to be. It would either let water in or just wasn't suitable for the kind of various different exercises they had to do, etc. And what they were running before we came in again was these are what I was explaining were catalog ads, which are pulled sort of from the feed. And it doesn't make someone feel anything, right? It's just a white static with a picture of a t-shirt going to a landing page with a picture of a t-shirt. It's like, do you want this t-shirt or do you not? It's not getting you to feel anything. It's literally just an impulse purchase. And most likely when someone sees this ad or when you see this ad, you're likely to probably have a competitor t-shirt from some other, Patagonia or another competitor brand in your basket. Hence why Meta's showing you this ad, because it knows that you're probably likely in the market for either some t-shirt or some or some shorts. But yeah, it doesn't sort of get anyone to, or it doesn't make you feel anything. After we used a lot of their very much like storytelling content. This is a kind of a satirical skit here on the film Predator. This ad here, this went pretty viral. Got 970 comments, which is very good for an ad. This is just on the Facebook feed, a bunch more on Instagram. And then this one here, which has kind of got a product lookbook down there. So this is where you can use these types of ads here, but in a much better way where they appear underneath the creative. There's a lot more storytelling. In this case, obviously, this was talking about their time on the field, etc., etc. And what we did with all of these ads is we sent them over to a landing page that wasn't just a product with a picture of a t-shirt, but actually allowed someone to discover the brand on their own terms, right? So people were able to scroll through, and this was a specific launch for Hairy Tech range, which is something they launched last year. But it allowed someone to scroll through and discover the products on their own terms. They weren't force-fed a t-shirt, they weren't force-fed a discount, an offer, they were discovering the brand on their own terms. And what this caused as well is similar to Dutch Barn. You can see here that, Through Dark Shroud became a very popular search term after Through Dark. And that was the result of running these types of ads with the Shroud, which is this big dry robe thing that you see here. And then Joe Rogan also started following the brand from one of your ads. Never used to say this. This is a lovely thing to send to the client, to say that Joe Rogan started following from one of the ads that we'd created for them. But this sort of stuff doesn't happen unless people feel something, right? People don't follow brands. People don't engage with brands unless they feel something. They like the content. They engage with it. And obviously, ultimately, people like Joe Rogan following from the ad. Here's another example, beauty example, for a brand called Refi. They've actually just launched in the Middle East. I think they're in Sephora in Dubai Mall quite recently. But this is the standard content that a lot of beauty brands will run, is this like UGC, product demo, explainer content, which works. But we came into this account and we started working with Refi, and we realized that they were far too over leveraged on this type of content. Their whole ad account was just filled with a bunch of UGC, and the problem is that by the time you'd found the winner, it already fatigued and you had to move on to the next one. So it's this like constant like creative cycle and huge velocity of creatives, and obviously not to mention how much it costs to get these types of creators to create these videos as well. And you can see here, like, there is engagement there, but there's not a huge amount of engagement, right? 8 comments, 24 comments, 8 comments, 7 comments. So what we did is we tried to, I don't know if this is going to work. Can I play this? Let's see if I can play this. It does not appear on the screen. So you can see that a very short video, but it's very different to a lot of the UGC explainer videos. It's a little bit of a commentary around the creative there. So extremely close up of the formula. It's visceral. We can almost feel that texture. You can feel the kind of the coldness on your lips. from looking at that content. Very satisfying to watch as well. It's the kind of content that belongs on social, right? And the kind of content that people want to watch as well. And it feels raw, it feels indulgent, and you could also run a lot of those for various different SKUs, which we did for their facial primer. It's also a similar kind of effect where the liquid or the stuff inside oozes out. That was also another top performer from an ad perspective. And then you've also got emotional credibility. You saw a tweet pop up, I think it was, at the bottom, or not a tweet, sorry, a review at the bottom, which adds kind of an element or a layer of social proof into the creative as well. This is another one that should play. So this was kind of a spin on your standard content that is very much out of stock or going out of stock or 50% off, buy now before it's out of stock. It's actually telling people that it was in stock, right? So Lifestyle First, as you saw, there was a nice kind of beach coastal background, which is kind of shows exactly kind of who the brand's speaking to. Full face ritual as well. There's multiple products. It's doing it in a way that feels lifestyle first, not that hard sell that you saw on some of those other statics earlier on. And it's got our attention because it stops the scroll with I'm not kind of an ad. It doesn't appear like an ad. People watch it because it doesn't feel like an ad. And it's like hit with an aspiration, right? People want to, use that beauty routine to then aspire to then also be in that setting. So yeah, it plays on multiple different things, and then the tone of voice as well. The lifestyle you order, like I say, is currently in stock, so it doesn't it's cheeky, ironic, flips the script on the sort of out of stock messaging, which we're so accustomed to on social with a lot of the ads that brands run. And then finally, this is another ad here, which is a tweet style. Again, nice social proof product underneath. Very simple to create, but didn't have any mention of any sale or anything like that. Tweets inherently shareable as well. They're short, they're clever. The best ones feel like cultural comedy. And it leads into the fact that, we're already on it. We listen to you based on what's sort of said in the tweet. There's no hard CTA either. Obviously, when you run this as an ad, there will be a CTA that pops up at the bottom here if it was a story, or somewhere kind of at the bottom if it was a reel. There's no CTA kind of baked into the ad, which is super important to have that brand feel. So, media buying has changed. Leveraging reactive tactics damage the long-term relationship with customers, and this is the type of content that you want to be producing, which focus on a positive user experience, where the product is an accessory to the storyline, right? So the product should always feel like it's not the front and center thing that people see. Red Bull is a perfect example of that. If you go on Red Bull's feed, you won't see a single product image, or you won't see a single can of Red Bull on Red Bull socials. It's all about the lifestyle, and the product becomes an accessory to the storyline of all of the stunts that they do, all of the incredible stuff. I think they did one in Dubai quite recently off the top of the Address Beach Resort, where a guy was wakeboarding on the infinity pool first, and then parachuting, skydiving off the top. But stuff like that content, right? There's no mention of Red Bull in there, but you associate Red Bull with that type of content. And this is a really nice way of visualizing where a lot of ads that are very much like sales-driven direct response end up being, and it's in this red ocean here, right? So it's and a lot of the market is there, hence why I put the market is here. We want to be here. We want to be in between the blue ocean, the orange ocean, where it's uncontested waters, maybe slightly increasingly competitive, but when you look at the axes, you can see here that people are usually consciously aware. They're starting to feel the pain of the problem. They might be problem aware slightly. But it's the largest opportunity for scale. Here you're kind of in a state of stagnant growth. You're really competing on product and price, as you can see at the top here. But as you move down this linear line here, this dotted line, you can see if you're ending up here, you're going to be more explanation and storytelling, maybe slightly leaning into claims and proof, but it's the type of content that you run which is super important in order to end up here rather than up here, which is statics, 50% off, sales, very direct response stuff, which you'll struggle a lot to grow within a market if you're always up there. Now that doesn't mean to say that you can kind of move up and down this line. You can do it. You're not static in one place, but you want a mix of all of these different types of creative to hit people at different points in the funnel. So optimize for intent, not immediacy. You don't want necessarily people to immediately buy your product. You want to optimize for the intent to buy the product instead. And going back to this example just quickly, actually, back here. So what happened here is we actually doubled this business's cost of acquisition. So their cost of acquisition doubled when we came in and started running this type of content, which sounds counterintuitive, but what actually happened is their lifetime value of a customer quadrupled. So overall, they were more profitable as a business, even though their cost of acquisition doubled. And the reason for that is because we were optimizing for intent and not immediacy. So we were bringing in much higher quality of customers who are going to purchase again and again and again, become brand advocates, not just impulse buyers. And the final section, which is the second half of the funnel, which most people miss. So obviously you've got your ad itself on the front end, which is obviously everything that I've gone through. And then you've got the second half of the funnel, which is what happens after someone clicks, right? The post-click experience. And so many people have the best ads in the world, but their post-click experience is just absolutely awful. Here's a few stats around post-click behavior and kind of what happens. 70% of traffic bounces within 3 seconds. So 70% of the people who click on your ad and go to the landing page will bounce within 3 seconds. So above the fold, which is the first section that people see either on mobile or desktop, if you're sending people to your website from an ad, it's probably most likely to be mobile. But yeah, above the fold, 70% of the traffic will bounce within 3 seconds. 75% of the traffic doesn't scroll beyond 30% of the page. That's usually sort of that fold part. So only 25% of people will actually scroll down. It takes 50 milliseconds is the time that it takes for a user to decide whether to stay or bounce, right? It's such an impulse decision, especially in this day and age when people have so little attention. Once they've come from social, that you've got even smaller amount of time for them to engage on your landing page. As I said, 100% of visitors see above the fold, so that's your chance to try and get them to sort of like hook them, get them to continue scrolling, sort of let the person discover the brand on their own terms. And then less than 50% of brands create unique landing pages, which is a huge opportunity. Rather than just sending people to I won't go back because it's quite a few slides, but rather than sending people to just a PDP, send them to a unique landing page, which tells a story, which gets people to discover the brand rather than just the products. And including an offer increases conversion rate by more than 30%. So, and that's not an offer, because that would be very counterintuitive to everything that I've said. It's not an offer that is 50% off or buy one get one free or your standard offer like that. It's an offer where we need to give people a reason to buy now, not just give people a reason to buy. And the way that you do that is through offers like this, which the biggest one in e-com that I found work the best are gift with purchase. So you can see Refy here, they offer I had a lipstick in my cart, not that I was buying lipstick, but I had a lipstick in my cart, and yeah, £38 away, spend £60 to unlock a free concealer. This gets people to buy more, right? And when people buy more, they usually become more or higher brand advocates. They're not just impulse buying a £22 lipstick. And it gives them an incentive to spend more on the website, which increases AOV, usually LTV in the long term as well. This is Dutch Barn again. There was multiple different free products that they gave there for ordering multiple bottles. You can see here, if you order 3 bottles, then you unlock free 2 mini vodka, whatever that is, 5 centiliter bottles. And then at the top there, that was for a wellness brand that we work with. They were offering 3 different gifts, and then another brand here called Cereal, which is a cereal brand in the UK that offer protein cereal. And again, this is slightly different because it gives you a reason to subscribe to the product by giving you free products like a bowl, a spoon, and whatever else there was there. So yeah, the point being is that you need to give someone a reason to buy now, rather than just if you literally just have this without any offer at all, it's very hard to get people to buy in that second. And with people's attention on social, it's so important that you give them a reason to buy now. Also with Amazon as well, people can quite easily just go to Amazon. It's very native to them, the whole experience. They get it within a day. You can now get stuff within 2 hours within Dubai, which is crazy from Amazon. So you need to give people a reason to buy direct with you as a business and as a brand. And what this means when you implement all of this is an example, is that you can see this steady increase, this 45% increase in AOV, just from implementing this. And then also this is from a brand where we had this viral kind of moment or semi-viral moment here. This is on a day by day. I think this is over a 7-day period, where we launched an offer. Obviously, everyone adapted the offer here, but then we've got this elevated baseline that you can see here, where a lot more people were buying because we were giving them a reason to buy from the brand rather than either a competitor or elsewhere like Amazon or in retail. So with a focus on acquiring high quality customers, they'll be more likely to come back, but we must give them a reason to, and that's when you can implement stuff like this, which again, using Refi as an example, giving people a reason to come back again with stuff like reward tiers. I'm sure plenty of you have seen reward tiers on various different websites and stuff before, but this is an extremely good way of incentivizing people to come back again, and also incentivizing, gamifying people moving through various tiers that you can see here, with silver, gold, platinum, VIP, etc. And then they created this whole Refi world off the back of that as well. So lastly, number one, the rules are changing. We must adapt or die. You either move into the AI stuff, or you create content that is emotionally connected with people, stuff that belongs on the platform, and stuff that people actually want to watch. Number two, all marketing should perform. It's just a matter of when. That is your sign, if you haven't run Meta ads, to run Meta ads, and your marketing or your Meta ads will perform eventually. It's just a matter of when, obviously implementing various different tactics and things to help improve performance. Number three, create content, not ads. The best ads are usually ones that don't look like ads, as I showed you. A lot of the time people get heads up in creating content and creating ads that look like ads when actually they usually perform worse than ones that don't look like ads. And number four, don't ignore post-click experience. Thank you. I need some water now.
We'll let you have some water before we go to questions. So do we have questions in the audience? Question?
Just out of curiosity, you said you did the Ricky Gervais Dutch-born ones. The last ones that were on the SOP, right, weren't so successful, the Welcome to Step City, etc. So do you kind of see the effect on that as well? Or just to understand, right, because that is very strong storytelling, but very edgy. So it could also kind of flip the wrong way, right? So I'm really curious to understand how that worked out.
Yeah, of course. We weren't. Are you talking about the tube ads?
Yeah.
Yeah. We weren't directly responsible for the tube ads. That was another agency that did those because it's not Meta ads. Oh wow, that was loud. The effect that had was actually positive, and the reason being was because they were so in line with Ricky Gervais and his whole humour and whatever else that actually them getting, because they got rejected by the London Mayor, a lot of them. So then those surfaced as ads that were rejected by the London Mayor. So it actually went more viral, the fact that they were more out there and got rejected, as opposed to actually being, obviously some of them did end up being on the tube ads. But yeah, I mean, I think that's quite a nuanced example because it very much fits in with Ricky Gervais's whole persona and him being a comedian. Another brand like that would have to be very careful about like the brand voice and protecting their own brand with being so out there. But as Steve, a lot of the time he says you've got to piss 80% of the people off in order to reach your 20%. So sometimes you've got to do stuff that's a little bit more disruptive and out there in order to reach those 20% of people who are your people and your audience for the brand.
Hi. A lot of people don't have the big budgets to have an agency to go and put together campaigns like some of the ones that you showed. Mm-hmm. What are some of your favorite AI tools or platforms that maybe some of the smaller businesses that are here today could use or play around with to maybe get an 8 out of 10 result on some of their creative? Yeah,
of course. There's so many AI tools that are cropping up here, there, and everywhere for content creation. There's Sora, there's Veo, there's Nano Banana for static ads. Nano Banana's probably the best, I would say, for static ads. I can send you a whole list afterwards of stuff that we use personally as an agency. But it's very easy to create content that's actually very low lift now with AI. You don't necessarily need to have, a huge product. You can create those types of ads through AI if you have the right prompt. It's all about having the right prompt and then engineering that prompt and kind of the adaptations of the what you get out of the system in order to get an ad that actually, looks and feels as it should do if it was created without AI, if that helps. I will send you the list though if you give me your details. Perfect.
Hello, good evening. You mentioned that Meta Ads now optimizes for intent. This same development happens in Google as well. So what I'm curious about, when you showed that the ranking of the brand was higher on Google, I'm wondering if that was amplified by other campaigns, or how did you determine that that was correlated to Meta?
Yeah, it's hard to directly correlate it to Meta. It was the only, obviously with any marketing, right, it's a holistic kind of effort from all different channels. Meta's one of the main channels where probably 80% of them total media spend was being put. So we kind of made the assumption that 80% of the media spend was going towards Meta, and then all of a sudden the ad that went viral on Meta then caused the Google ranking of that specific product to go right to the top. So I guess, yeah, it's assumptions sometimes save time. But yeah, that's the assumption we made, was just based on the fact that a lot of the spend that we were putting as a sort of whole marketing activation was on Meta, and then obviously we saw that increase in the search results. But yeah, it probably will have been from other things as well, but it's looking at more holistically to understand what have we done the most of, or where's the most media spend gone, and what's the kind of cause and effect of that.
My question is around, I think initially when you were showing your clients, you also showed Fiverr. Mm-hmm. Is the playbook a little different from Fiverr? I presume it would be, right? Because you're targeting decision makers in mid-sized companies, small to mid-sized companies. So how does the playbook differ between them? Because you'll get a lot of, you may not get as much intent because with fewer data sets for B2B as compared to B2C.
Yeah, 100%. I actually started on Fiverr when I was first starting out as a freelancer. I was offering, when I was 15, I was doing travel writing on Fiverr, and then as I moved away from that and then came back to Fiverr, I then started doing Facebook ads and Meta ads, or Facebook ads as it was called back then, consultancy. Anyway, in answer to your question, it was actually, I did some consultancy for Fiverr to help. They had this new program that was coming out at the time that was essentially to help support sellers on Fiverr, which obviously I was at the time, and they wanted to help encourage people to use this, I've forgotten what it was called now, but use this platform and kind of sort of advertise this platform to specifically Fiverr sellers. So obviously they have a huge data set of all of their existing sellers. So we're looking to use that as a retargeting audience to then retarget all of these people on social to say, hey, are you a seller on Fiverr? Have you considered this like managed service via it's got a CSM, Customer Success Manager? In answer to your question, it would be in terms of, I don't know, obviously the overall Fiverr approach and kind of what they use Meta ads for as a whole. It was very siloed to this specific example, but I can imagine, yeah, Fiverr has this reputation for cheap freelancers, when actually you can get very, very good quality stuff on there, and they've very much transitioned their whole kind of messaging and what they're doing, and with the pro services now you can get on Fiverr that are specifically vetted people by Fiverr. I think they're trying to reposition as the platform for cheap freelancer services to actually the quality of the freelancers that we have on Fiverr are incredibly good. So hopefully that answers your question in a way.
We'll just make it the last two questions.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, Shankar, this is Shankar Jayaraman. This one question is, how come the budget is deciding the reach of the ads? For example, I'm spending 500 dirhams per day and the ad is performing well. So I understood that ad is good, so I'm increasing it to 750 or 1000, then the ad stops down. So is it the ad is not performing or the creative, because I'm not changing anything except the budget, number one. Number two, is it the right idea to create a different ad set rather than increasing the budget? What would be your take?
On number one, whenever you increase your spend, your budget, Meta will always have to move outside of the audience that's most likely to cause your conversion rate. So let's say, what were you optimizing for on your ads? Was it leads or sales or leads? Okay, yeah. So when you're spending 500 dirhams a day, Meta will be able to
serve that ad to however many people you're reaching, and those people are more likely to be leads than when you were spending 750 dirham a day. Meta's going to have to expand outside of the people who are very likely to become leads to people who are less likely to become leads. So your cost per result may increase, or your cost per lead may increase as a result. It's almost think of it like a dartboard, a bullseye. When you're spending a small amount of money, Meta will go after for those really high intent people in the middle. When you're spending more, when you're spending 500, 600, 700 dirham a day, Meta has to expand outside of that bullseye because it's got to reach more people for your spend. But those people are probably going to be lesser intent in terms of becoming a lead. So therefore, your cost per result might increase. How you counteract that is just is creating more diverse creatives for different people in the funnel. So if you're trying to run the same creative that was working for the people right at the bottom of the funnel, which is who you were targeting when you're spending 500 dirhams a day. If you create creative that's a little bit more middle of funnel and top of funnel for the people to nurture them down, then what you'll do is you'll create this kind of like effect where you start increasing the size of the bullseye in the middle, where your higher intent audiences start to increase because you're running more top of funnel stuff and moving them down the funnel. So although you won't necessarily get the lowest or most efficient cost per lead from the top of funnel ads, it'll funnel more people into that higher intent audience, and then you can scale that bottom of funnel campaign up a little bit more, if that makes sense. Cool. And what was number 2, sorry? No, only increase the budget on the same ad set. Don't duplicate the ad set because you're creating another learning phase for Meta to have to optimize from. But don't try not to increase your budget in any given day by more than like 15-20%. If you increase it by more than 15-20%, then you enter the learning phase again. Okay.
Excuse me. Hi. I'm here.
Sorry, lights are blinding.
Thanks. So if I want to increase Instagram following with my music, what ads is better to use, awareness or engagement?
So this is the time that you will actually use a traffic objective. So you want to use the traffic objective, but when you get to the ad set level, you'll see a performance goal for Instagram profile visits. Unfortunately, Meta, they still don't, and I still don't know why to this day, but Meta don't have the ability to optimize for followers. They only have the ability you only have the ability to optimize for Instagram profile visits. But if you select traffic as your campaign objective, then go to your ad set level, go to the performance goal, and you'll see Instagram profile visits. Select that, but most importantly, the creative that you're running has to give someone a reason to want to follow you. It can't just be, here I am, this is me, decide whether you want to follow me or not. It has to be a reason for people to follow you, because the CTA will be a button that links someone to your Instagram profile, and then they've got to make the decision after that whether to follow you or not, right? So you've got to make the content that you serve in the ad obviously relevant to what you want people to do, but then also make sure obviously your Instagram feed is populated so people know who you are, why they should follow you, and give someone a reason to follow you. If that makes sense.
Thank you. I just want to be mindful of time for those, and we have one last question.
Hi. Hello. So I've been running ad campaigns for the last 5 years. Current budget is around $15,000 a month. So we do ad campaign lead generation to a live weekend Zoom call every Saturday and Sunday. So in the last 5 months, something's changed. Number one, the number of people attending has dropped. The cost per lead has skyrocketed, and the quality of the lead has dropped big time.
When was the last time you refreshed your creative?
Maybe 2 months ago.
Yeah, so you need to, I would probably say, try refreshing your creative more often, because it goes back to what I was saying just a second ago. The creative that worked initially will be working for that really high intent audience, so your results to start with were really good and then they started to tail off. If you refresh your creative with new content, you're likely to reach more new people, net new audience, than you were before. Otherwise, obviously there's so many different nuances that would change my answer. But if your frequencies were super high, then it means the same people are seeing your ad over and over and over again. So your lead volume is likely to drop because you're just showing the same people who've already potentially even
So how often should we change the content?
With a $15,000 a month budget, I would say every 2 to 4 weeks is a good creative velocity and creative volume now is what Meta loves. If you give it new creative, especially with different formats and angles you haven't tested before, it gives the ability to reach net new audiences and hopefully.
What about the quality? Why has the quality of the audience dropped? Before we used to have good quality, now we don't. In terms of they don't have money. Before
So people are signing up, but they just don't have money.
Before they had money, but now suddenly the quality is completely gone 50% down.
And have you changed anything on the sign up process, landing page?
That I don't know because my team does it.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you to take this offline because Tom is here and we just want to.
Sorry, I can get to.
Yeah, do catch him. I
Yeah,
know
we'll
there are
talk.
some more questions in the audience. We'll let Tom have his water and then catch him for the questions while he's here. Thank you so much, Tom.
Of course, thank you.
I hope the session was really useful.
Thank you.
I'd like to especially thank the backbone of TIE, all the charter members who have taken out their time to be here. So they are established entrepreneurs, entrepreneurs who make the organization run. They form the board, they run the initiative. I think in all the comedy thing in the beginning, I missed acknowledging that we had a very good number of charter members. I'm going to request all of them to come and take a picture later, but for now, we have a small memento for Tom. If I can have our President Emeritus, P.K. Gulati.
Thank you so much for being
Yeah. We'd love to call on the comedians, the singer. We cannot not acknowledge the artist of the evening, Rawan. No, it's Rawan, not yet. Thank you, Rawan. To many more gigs. So this is a very grassroots community. You should support them. Expression Lab is where you want to follow them. Next is Liana. Thank you. Thank you, Liana. Enud. Thank you, thank you. Seven. Thank you, Seven. Thank you, Seven. Last but not the least, Alexa. To more albums, to more labels. We take a group picture, please, with all of you. With Tom. Yes, please, all charter members as well, if we can have you. So this is the backbone, the engine of the organization, those who are not performing today, but thank you, thank you. We love to take a group picture. We'd love to have all of you, please.
Thank you. Can all the charter members please stay? And can I request our guests today, our friends from Germany, David, Ajax, please can you join us here? And also our friends from Bangalore, please come, join us. By the way, these people are from our chapters in Frankfurt and in Bangalore who are here today, joining us.